so sad sighing by sycamore tree, single, a green willow, her hand on her bosom, her head on her knee, sing willow, willow, willow. The fresh streams ran by her and murmured a moan, sing willow, willow, willow. The soft tears fell from her and softened the stone, sing willow, willow, willow. Ready, Heidi, you come now, sing all the green willow must be my darling. Let nobody blame in this scorn or your proof.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge. We were dark last week because I had an acting job, but I'm glad to be back here with Ted and Bill, and maybe some other people will join us. Sheila said she's going to be late. Maybe hopefully she makes it. But our dedicated players here to perform randomly chosen scenes and monologues from the Bard to entertain you guys here on Saturday. So. And based on the randomly determined order, it's going to be Bill. And if it's just the three of us, we'll go to, like, again, if smaller group, we'll do 2 rounds of it. So we'll the three of us, if it's just the three of us, we'll go twice. But the order, we have Bill, myself, then Ted. Let me share the screen, get the wheel up on screen to, so we can spin, see what Bill is going to perform. So Bill is going to perform. Whoa, oh, I think this is a recently added one, Hastings and Richard III. I think this is as Richard is just set off with his head and he's lamenting, whoa, for England.
Oh, yeah.
He about to lose his head for standing in the way of Richard's dastardly plots, and now he's about to pay the price for it and is reflecting on what's going to happen to his country as a result of it. Okay, create the banner for you. It's Act 3, Scene 4. I believe it's the end of the scene. So let me know when you found it. So
I just found it.
Okay, so whenever you're ready.
Woe, woe for England, not for me, for I, too fond, might have prevented this. Stanley did dream the boar did raise his helm, but I disdained it, and did scorn to fly. 3 times today my footcloth horse did stumble and startled when he looked upon the tower, as loath to bear me to the slaughterhouse. Oh, now I want the priest that spake to me. I now repent. I told the pursuivant, as 'twere triumphing at mine enemies, how they at Pomfret bloodily were butchered, and I myself secure in grace and favor. Oh, Margaret, Margaret, now thy heavy curse is lighted upon poor Hastings' wretched head. See.
Okay, very nice. So it's my turn now, and I will be doing. Sorry, everything keeps freezing here. Oh, camera, my lovely Erin. My lovely Erin, wherefore look'st thou sad, when everything doth make a gleeful boast? The birds chant melody on every bush, The snake lies rolled in the cheerful sun. The green leaves quiver with the cooling wind and make a checkered shadow on the ground. Under their sweet shade, Aaron, let us sit. And whilst the babbling echo mocks the hounds, replying shrilly to the well-tuned horns, as if a double hunt were heard at once, let us sit down and mark their yelping noise. And after conflict such as was supposed, the wandering prince and Dido once enjoyed, when with a happy storm they were surprised, and curtained with a counsel-keeping cave, we may, each wreathed in the other's arms, our pastimes done, possess a golden slumber. Whilst hounds and horns and sweet melodious birds be unto us, as is a nurse's song, of lullaby, to bring her babe asleep. Okay, that was a challenge. That was definitely different. I usually do. Okay, so Ted is going to do. Finally, get to see the wheel spin without it freezing. Ted is going to do. Good, describing Ophelia's death. Act 4, Scene 7.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever you're ready.
There is a willow grows aslant a brook that shows his hoar leaves in the glassy stream. There with fantastic garlands did she come of crowflowers, nettles, daisies, and long purples, that liberal shepherds give a grosser name. But our cold maids do dead men's fingers call them. There, on the pendant boughs her coronet weeds, clamoring to hang, an envious sliver broke, when down her weedy trophies and herself fell in the weeping brook. Her clothes spread wide, and mermaid-like, awhile they bore her up, which time she chanted snatches of old tunes, as one incapable of her own distress, or like a creature native and endued unto that element. But long it could not be, till that her garments, heavy with their drink, pulled the poor wretch from her melodious lay to muddy death. Scene.
Okay, great. So go back to Bill for the next turn. And Bill will do. Lady Percy, Act Henry IV, Part 1. That's Act 2, Scene 3.
Act 2, Scene 3.
We only got 3 men playing today.
I think I'm looking at the wrong play.
Henry IV, Part 1.
Yeah, I know. I was looking at the wrong play. Henry IV, Part 1. Okay.
Yeah. Act 2, Scene 3.
2, Scene 3. And the first words? I missed that part.
I don't think I wrote them down. It's about 35 lines in.
Oh my good Lord.
I think that's
yeah, that's probably what it is.
Go ahead.
Oh my good Lord. Why are you thus alone? For what offense have I this fortnight been a banished woman from Harry's bed? Tell me, sweet lord, what is that takes from thee thy stomach, thy pleasure, and thy golden sleep? Why dost thou bend thine eyes upon the earth and start so often when thou sittest alone? Why hast thou lost the fresh blood in thy cheeks and given my treasures and my rights of thee to thick-eyed musing and cursed melancholy? In thy faint slumbers I by thee have watched, and heard thee murmur tales of iron wars, speak terms of manage to thy bounding steed, cry courage to the field, and thou hast talked of sallies and retires, of trenches, tenses, of palisados, frontiers, parapets, of basilisks, of cannon, culverin, of prisoners' ransom, and of soldiers slain, and all the currents of a ready fight. Thy spirit within thee hath been so at war, and thus hath so bestirred thee in thy sleep, that beads of sweat have stood upon thy brow, like bubbles in a late disturbed stream. And in thy face strange motions have appeared, such as we see when men restrain their breath on some great sudden hest. Oh, what portents are these? Some heavy business hath my lord in hand, and I must know it, else he loves me not. See.
Okay, so it's my turn again. Back to the wheel for me, spinning, and I'm going to do pardon me. This is Anthony. Jeez, I might be reading this somewhat cold. I think this is not the, we've had on the wheel forever. We've had the Friends, Romans, Countrymen one, but this is another one. I believe I just added it. I'm trying to remember the context, but going to be a little cold with this. But that's part of the idea with the Wheel of Shakespeare challenge. You never know what you're going to get. You might have to be unprepared based on what the wheel gives you, and you just do the best you can. That's what I'm going to do right here. So I believe it begins with, oh, pardon me. Act 3, scene. Sorry, everybody, bear with me. I'm having trouble finding it. Okay, it's the very end. Okay, so Caesar is still alive in this scene. This is now he's alone, so it's everyone's departed. Oh, okay, the guy is, pardon me, that he's being gentle with people plotting Caesar's assassination. Okay, so here we go. Let's give it the best. Oh, pardon me, thou bleeding piece of earth, that I am meek and gentle with these butchers. Thou art the ruins of the noblest man that ever lived in the tide of times. Woe to the hands that shed this costly blood. Over thy wounds now do I prophesy, which like dumb mouths do ope their ruby lips to beg the voice and utterance of my tongue. A curse shall light upon the limbs of men. Domestic fury and fierce civil strife shall cumber all the parts of Italy. Blood and destruction shall be so in use, and dreadful objects so familiar, that mothers shall but smile when they behold their infants quartered with the hands of war. All pity choked with custom of fell deeds, and Caesar's spirit ranging for revenge, with 8 by his side, come hot from hell, shall in these confines with a monarch's voice cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war, that this foul deed shall smell above the earth, and carrion men groaning for burial. You serve Octavius Caesar, do you not? Okay, that was, I performed that pretty cold, unfamiliar with the context, although I did have one Shakespeare FQ in it, the dogs of war quote. Wasn't expecting that. I had to just go with it. Okay, so we're back to Ted. Ted will do his second monologue, and then we'll spin for some. Scenes for the three of us to do. Okay, so Ted is going to do. Timon, O blessed bleeding sun, from Timon of Athens. Act 4, Scene 3, I believe begins, O blessed bleeding sun. Act 4, Scene 3.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, go.
O blessed breeding sun, draw from the earth rotten humidity. Below thy sister's orb infect the air. Twinned brothers of one womb, whose procreation, residence, and birth scarce is dividend, touch them with several fortunes. The greater scorns the lesser, not nature, to whom all sores lay siege can bear great fortune, but by contempt of nature. Raise me this beggar, and deny it that lord, the senator shall bear contempt hereditary. The beggar native honor. It is the pasture large the rother's sides, the want that makes him lean. Who dares, in purity of manhood stand upright, and say, this man's a flatterer? If one be, so are they all, for every grise of fortune is smoothed by that below. The learned pate ducks to the golden fool. All is oblique. There's nothing level in our cursed natures, but direct villainy. Therefore be abhorred all feasts, societies, and throngs of men. His semblable, yea, himself, Timon disdains. Destruction fang mankind. Earth, yield me roots. Who seeks for better of thee? Sauce his palate with thy most operant poison. What is here? Gold? Yellow, glittering, precious gold? No, gods, I am no idle votarist. Roots, you clear heavens. Thus much of this will make black white, foul fair, wrong right, base noble, old young, coward valiant. You gods, why this? What this, you gods? Why this will lug your priests and servants from your sides, pluck stout men's pillows from below their heads. This yellow slave will knit and break religions. Bless the accursed, make the whore leprosy adored, place thieves and give them title, knee in approbation with senators on the bench. This is it that makes the wappened widow wed again. She, whom the spittle house and ulcerous sores would cast the gorge at. This embalms and spices to the April day again. Come, damned earth, thou common whore of mankind, that puts odds among the root of nations, I will make thee do thy right nature. Ha, a drum, thou'rt quick, but yet I'll bury thee, thou'rt go, thou strong thief. when gouty keepers of thee cannot stand. Nay, stay thou out of our earnest. Scene.
Okay, very nice. So good job on the monologues today, everybody. Now it's time to find some scenes for the three of us. So let's see. We got King John, 4.2, that's John and Hubert plotting the death of Arthur. That's one we've done before, but I just took it out of, it's been a while, so I just took that out of retirement, put it back on the wheel. Oh, good, there's another good one in the past, but I just, and then fourth part one, Hal and Falstaff. And another King John scene, 3.4, Louis the Dauphin and Cardinal Pandolf. Okay, so the 6 roles will each end up playing 2. The 6 roles to choose from: John, Hubert, and King John, Act 4, Scene 2, Prince Hal and Falstaff, and Henry IV, Part 1, Act 1, Scene 2, and then Louis the Dauphin and Cardinal Pandolf in King John, Act 3, Scene 4. So, Ted has the first choice amongst those 6 roles. What would you like, Ted?
I'll do Hubert.
Hubert. Okay. Ted will do that. Let's see. I'll take. I'll try Cardinal Pandolf. Bill, what would you like?
What was that first choice? That first scene?
First scene is King John, Act 4, Scene 2. Ted took Hubert, but there's.
Oh, yeah. Okay. How about Prince Hal?
Okay. Okay, Ted, your second choice. So we have John, Falstaff, and Louis.
No, I can do King John.
Okay. Oh wait.
No.
You're already Hubert in the same scene. So it's either Falstaff or Louis next to Bill, or Louis next to my Pandolf.
Louis.
Okay. So Ted will take that. I'll go ahead and take Falstaff, and that leaves Bill to be John. So we're going to do first King John with Bill and Ted as John and Hubert. Then Bill and myself will do Hal and Falstaff, and then Ted and myself are going to do Louis the Dauphin and Cardinal Pandolf in King John. So let me create so King John, Act 4, Scene 2. That's Hubert and King John. You two will start with that one.
Does my line start old men and beldams in the streets?
I haven't had a chance to look. Give me a second.
Or at my lord, they say 5 moons were seen tonight.
Let's see. It looks like, yeah. So it looks like re-enter Hubert, my lord, and that from that point to the end of the scene, it's just the two of you on stage. So yeah. So I take it from re-enter Hubert, and Hubert says, "My lord, they say 5 moons were seen tonight, 4 fixed."
Okay.
Yes,
So
I have
good.
it.
Okay.
I have
So
it.
take it from there.
All right.
My lord, they say 5 moons were seen tonight, 4 fixed, and the 5th did whirl about the other 4 in wondrous motion.
5 moons?
Old men and beldams in the streets do prophecy upon it dangerously. Young Arthur's death is common in their mouths, and when they talk of him, they shake their heads and whisper one another in the ear. And he that speaks doth gripe the hearer's wrist, whilst he that hears makes fearful action, with wrinkled brows, with nods, with rolling eyes. I saw a smith stand with his hammer, thus, the whilst his iron did on the anvil cool, with open mouth swallowing a tailor's news, with his shears and measure in his hand, standing on slippers, which his nimble haste had falsely thrust upon contrary feet, told of a many thousand warlike French that were embattled and ranked on Kent. Another lean, unwashed artificer cuts off his tail and talks of Arthur's death.
Why seekst thou to possess me with these fears? Why urgest thou so oft young Arthur's death? Thy hand hath murdered him. I had a mighty cause to wish him dead, but thou hadst none to kill him.
No head, my lord. Why, did you not provoke me?
It is the curse of kings to be attended by slaves that take their humors for a warrant to break within the bloody house of life, and on the winking of authority to understand a law, to know the meaning of dangerous majesty, when perchance it frowns more upon humor than advised respect.
Here is your hand and seal for what I did.
Oh, when the last account twixt heaven and earth is to be made, then shall this hand and seal witness against us to damnation. How oft the sight of means to do ill deeds make deeds ill done? Hast not thou been by a fellow by the hand of nature marked, quoted, and signed to do a deed of shame? This murder had not come into my mind, but taking note of thy horrid aspect, finding thee fit for bloody villainy, apt, liable to be employed in danger, I faintly broke with thee of Arthur's death, and thou, to be endeared to a king, made it no conscience to destroy a prince.
My lord.
Hadst thou but shook thy head, or made a pause when I spake darkly what I purposed, or turned an eye of doubt upon my face as bid me tell my tale in express words, deep shame had struck me dumb, made me break off, and those thy fears might have wrought fears in me. But thou didst understand by my signs, and didst in signs again parley with sin, yea, without stop, didst let thy heart consent, and consequently thy rude hand to act the deed which both our tongues held vile to name. Out of my sight, and never see me more. My nobles leave me, and my state is brave. Even at the gates with ranks of foreign powers, nay, in the body of this fleshling land, this kingdom, this confine of blood and breath, hostility and civil tumult reigns between my conscience and my cousin's death.
Arm you against your other enemies. I'll make a peace between your soul and you. Young Arthur is alive. This hand of mine is yet a maiden and an innocent hand, not painted with the crimson spots of blood. Within this bosom never entered yet the dreadful motion of a murderous thought, and you have slandered nature in my form, which, howsoever rude exteriorly, is yet the cover of a fairer mind than to be butcher of an innocent child.
Doth Arthur live? Oh, hastily to the peers throw this report on their incensed rage, and make them tame to their obedience. Forgive the comment that my passion made upon thy feature, for my rage was blind, and foul imaginary eyes of blood presented thee more hideous than thou art. Oh, answer not, but to my closet bring the angry lords with all expedient haste. I conjure thee, but slowly, run more fast. See?
Okay, nice. So I'm going to do the Prince Hal and Falstaff scene with Bill, and then the King John scene with Ted. And so, Bill, you and I are, it's going to go from the top of the scene, Act 1, Scene 2. And just I was looking it up while you, Act 3, Scene 4 of King John, it would be right, for Ted, it'll be right after King Philip exits. They've made peace, between France and England, the marriage between Blanche and Louis, and now secretly Cardinal Pandolf, who doesn't want to give up, is encouraging Louis to keep the fight going, to encourage his father to invade England and push Arthur's claim. So it would be from when King Philip says, "I fear some outrage and I'll follow her," exit, and then Louis says, "There's nothing in this world can make me joy." That's where we'll go from. But first, myself and Bill are going to do this scene from the top of. Have you found it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So top of the scene. "Now, Hal, what time of day is it, lad?"
Thou art so fat-witted with drinking of old sack and unbuttoning thee after supper and sleeping upon benches afternoon, that thou hast forgotten to demand that truly which thou wouldst truly know. What a devil hast thou to do with the time of day, unless hours were cups of sack, and minutes capons, and clocks the tongues of bawds and dials, the signs of leaping houses, and the blessed sun himself, a fair hot wench in flame-colored taffeta? I see no reason why thou shouldst be so superfluous to demand the time of day.
"Indeed, you come near me now, Hal. For we that take purses go by the moon and the 7 stars, and not by Phoebus, he that wandering knight so fair. And I prithee, sweet wag, when thou art king, as God save thy grace, majesty I should say, for grace thou wilt have none."
What, none?
"No, by my troth, not so much as will serve to prologue to an egg and butter."
Well, how then? Come, roundly.
"Very then, sweet wag, when thou art king, let not us that are squires of the night's body be called thieves of the day's beauty. Let us be Diana's foresters, gentlemen of the shade, minions of the moon. And let men say we be men of good government, being governed as the sea is by our noble and chaste mistress the moon, under whose countenance we steal."
Thou sayest well, and it holds well too. For the fortune of us that are the moon's men doth ebb and flow like the sea, being governed as the sea is by the moon. As for proof, now a purse of gold most resolutely snatched on Monday night and most dissolutely spent on Tuesday morning, got with swearing, lay by, and spent with crying, bring in. Now in as low an ebb as the foot of the ladder, and by in as high a flow as the ridge of the gallows.
"By the Lord, thou sayest true, lad. And is not my hostess of the tavern a most sweet wench?"
It's honey of Hybla, my old lad of the castle. And is not a buff jerkin a most sweet robe of durance?
"Oh, now, mad wag, what in thy quips and thy quiddities? What a plague have I do with a buff jerkin?"
Why, what a pox have I to do with my hostess of the tavern?
"Well, thou hast called her to a reckoning many a time and oft."
Did I ever call for thee to pay the part?
"No, I'll give thee thy due. Thou hast paid all there."
Yea, and elsewhere. So far as my coin would stretch, and where it would not, I have used my credit.
"Yea, and so used it that were it not here apparent that thou art heir apparent. But I prithee, sweet wag, shall there be gallows standing in England when thou art king? And resolution thus fobbed as it is with the rusty curb of old Father Antic the Law, Do not thou, when thou art king, hang a thief.
No, thou shalt.
Shall I? Oh, rare. By the Lord, I'll be a brave judge.
Thou judgest falsely, false already. I mean, thou shalt have the hanging of the thieves, and so become a rare hangman.
Well, Hal, well. And in some sort it jumps with my humor, as well as waiting in the court, I can tell you.
For obtaining of suits?
Yea, for obtaining of suits, whereof the hangman hath no lean wardrobe. Sblood, I am as melancholy as a gib cat or a lugged bear.
Or an old lion or a lover's lute?
Yea, or the drone of a Lincolnshire bagpipe.
What sayest thou to hare or the melancholy of Moorditch?
Thou hast the most unsavory similes, and art indeed the most comparative, rascaliest sweet young prince. But Hal, I prithee, trouble me no more with vanity. I would to God thou and I knew where a commodity of good names were to be bought. An old lord of the council rated me the other day in the street about you, sir, but I marked him not, and yet he talked very wisely, and I regarded him not, and yet he talked wisely, and in the street too.
Thou dost well, for wisdom cries out in the streets, and no man regards it.
Oh, thou hast damnable iteration, and art indeed able to corrupt a saint. Thou hast done much harm upon me, Hal. God forgive thee for it. Before I knew thee, Hal, I knew nothing. And now am I, if a man should speak truly, little better than one of the wicked. I must give over this life, and I will give it over. By the Lord, and I do not, I am a villain. I'll be damned for never a king's son in Christendom.
Where shall we take a purse tomorrow, Jack?
Boons, where thou wilt, lad. I'll make one, and I do not call me villain and baffle me.
I see a good amendment of life in thee, from praying to purse taking.
Why, Hal, 'tis my vocation. 'Tis not a sin for man to labor in his vocation. Okay, so now here's where points enters. Okay, that was great. Okay, so now it's myself and Ted doing Cardinal Pandolf and Louis the Dauphin. So,
What scene?
is Act 3, Scene 4 of King John. It's from the point where King Philip exits. And the two of us are scheming to undo the peace that he's just made with King John. So it would start with your line, "There's nothing in this world can make me joy," is where it'll start for you.
Act 3, Scene 4?
Yeah.
I don't see it anywhere. That might be incorrect reference. I don't see Louis in that. Lewis or Lewis?
Actually, yeah, they're spelling it in this version I'm looking at. They're spelling it Lewis.
I'm sorry. So where do we start here? After Constance leaves?
After King, and then Philip says, "I fear some outrage, and I'll follow her." He exits, and then it's just Lewis and the
Okay.
on stage.
Okay. There's nothing in this world can make me joy. Life is as tedious as a twice-told tale, vexing the dull ear of a drowsy man, and bitter shame hath spoiled the sweet world's taste, that it yields naught but shame and bitterness.
Before the curing of a strong disease, even an instant of repair and health, the fit is strongest. Evils that take leave on their departure, most of all show evil. What have you lost by losing of this day?
All days of glory, joy, and happiness.
If you had won it, certainly you had. No. When fortune means to men most good, she looks upon them with a threatening eye. 'Tis strange to think how much King John hath lost in this which he accounts so clearly won. Are not you grieved that Arthur is his prisoner?
As heartily as he is glad he hath him.
Your mind is always youthful as your blood. Now hear me speak with a prophetic spirit. For even the breath of what I mean to speak shall blow each dust, each straw, each little rub out of the path which shall directly lead thy foot to England's throne. And therefore mark, John hath seized Arthur, and it cannot be that whiles warm life plays in that infant's veins, the misplaced John should entertain an hour, 1 minute, nay, one quiet breath of rest. A scepter snatched with an unruly hand must be as boisterously maintained as gained. And he that stands upon a slippery place makes nice of no vile hold to stay him up. That John may stand, then Arthur needs must fall. So be it. It cannot be but so.
But what shall I gain by young Arthur's fall?
You, in the right of Lady Blanche your wife, may then make all the claim that Arthur did.
And lose it, life and all, as Arthur did?
How green you are and fresh in this old world. John lays you plots, the times conspire with you. For he that steeps his safety in true blood shall find but bloody safety and untrue. This act so evilly born shall cool the hearts of all his people, and freeze up their zeal, that none so small advantage shall step forth to check his reign. But they will cherish it. No natural exultation in the sky, no scope of nature, no distempered day, no common wind, no customed event. But they will pluck away as natural cause, and call them meteors, prodigies and signs, abortives, presages, and tongues of heaven, plainly denouncing vengeance upon John.
Maybe he will not touch young Arthur's life, but hold himself safe in his imprisonment.
Oh, sir, when he shall hear of your approach, if that young Arthur be not gone already, even at that news he dies. And then the hearts of all his people shall revolt from him, and kiss the lips of unacquainted change, and pick strong matter of revolt and wrath out of the bloody fingers ends of John. Methinks I see this Hurley all on foot. And oh, what better matter breeds for you that I have named. The bastard Falconbridge is now in England, ransacking the church, offending charity. If but a dozen French were there in arms, they would be as a call to train 10,000 English to their side. Or as a little snow tumbled about, anon becomes a mountain. O noble Dauphin, go with me to the king. 'Tis wonderful what may be wrought out of their discontent. Now that their souls are topful of offense, for England go. I will wet on the king.
Strong reasons make strong actions. Let us go. If you say aye, the king will not say so.
Okay. Awesome. So thank you to Ted and to Bill for joining us today. Great performances all around, everybody. Look forward to seeing you next week. Let's do start to, it's a shame some of our regulars have started to lose interest, but let's do start reaching out. I'll start sharing on more social media, trying to attract more people. Everybody else, the people, if you're just watching, you're thinking about joining, reach out to me, let me know how. And everybody else watching, just remember, same time next week on this YouTube channel. We'll see you next week for Wheel of Shakespeare. Till then, bye now.